Welcome to this edition of Ask Chauntel. Hello, you guys, and welcome to this edition of Ask Chauntel. So today I have a question from Tal, and she is 38 from Ohio. And I'm just going to kind of generalize what she said in her question. I'm going to paraphrase it. She's been with this man for 10 years. They have 3 children. Basically, he only pays about 10% of bills. She is the homemaker, so she's out there working, bringing home the money. She's disappointed and depressed because she feels that her partner is not ambitious. He's been in and out of school. He's not taking it seriously. He also hacks into her emails, phone messages, and Skype conversations. She says she is just exhausted and she just cannot deal with this anymore. So let's see. She says that they have talked about marriage, and I asked her what was their agreement or understanding of each other with who was going to bring home the ends meet. And she said there was no agreement. Okay. So let's talk about this, Tal. This is the dealio. For realio. I mean, I feel you, girl. It's really hard to have a man that is willing and okay with just, sitting around while you're working. And if that really is not the way that you want to live your life, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to sit down with this man that you've been with for 10 years and have a conversation with him. Now, I understand that you are fed up with what he's been doing. I understand that you are like, I cannot deal with this anymore. I want to walk away. But I also understand that it's really not that easy. And I also get that you guys have kids, and that should never be the reason why you stay in a relationship. But from what you've said, from the information that you have provided me with, I think that he is acting this way because you have allowed him to do so. You may not have verbally told him that this is not okay, but your actions have shown him that it's okay. Now, in his mind, he's good. But in your mind, you just can't understand. You're like pulling your brains apart. Like, why doesn't this guy get it? Well, guys don't get hints. They don't understand the subtlety. And you can only be so upset with him because you guys didn't have an agreement in the first place. Now, after you guys talk about it, if he still isn't trying to make any moves and he still isn't going to make it, going towards progression, then I understand if you want to walk away. But at this point, you've been with him for this long for a reason. I think what you need to do is make him be a man and stand up and do what he's supposed to do. If he can do that, you guys can stay together. You guys can work this thing out. I don't think that you have to just walk away from it. I have a strong feeling that you still love him and that you still want to be with him and you want to make this work. But you are frustrated with the decisions that he is making. So what do you need to do? You need to sit down with him. Let's say his name is George. You need to sit down with George and say, George, I know that we never had an agreement or understanding of how these things are going to be taken care of, but this is how I view relationships. More likely than not, the way that you view relationships is the way that your parents had a relationship. So if you had parents who the mother was at home, worked maybe a little bit, and the father was the one that really carried the weight of the family, then you are going to feel that that is the way that your relationship should be. If he had that same experience, he probably would feel and think the same. But if he didn't, he may not have those same values that you have in your head. Because really, What you have is you have values of how a relationship should be. And he also has values. But it doesn't seem like you guys have ever talked about this. And that's surprising to me because you guys have been together for so long. But you know, a lot of people have these things happen. The best thing to do in most situations, now you can't go back and change this, but I'm just going to let you know, you have to start with coming up with an agreement on how these things are going to be taken care of. But since you have not done that at first in your relationship, now you have to come back and you have to say, okay, I know we've been together for 10 years, but I am not happy the way that we are. So, these are my expectations of you. You give him your expectations. He will then follow up with telling you his expectations of you, so you guys both know each other's expectations, and then you can agree on if you can make those things happen. And if you guys cannot agree, then that is when you might want to talk about leaving. But at this point, you haven't even had the correct conversation. So that's where you need to start. And I would not doubt that having some couples therapy would not hurt, because you know what's happening? It seems like you guys are not communicating effectively and you don't know what each others are thinking. So you've got to find a way to make sure that you're communicating. You need to make sure that you guys are having good active listening skills and that you guys understand where each other are coming from. And if you don't do that, it could be this, it could be something else in your relationship. You're always going to struggle. You have to improve your communication. So sit down with your man and talk to him. And if you think that him just going on and on and on and on and on without making a proper commitment to you is okay, I'm here to say that it's not okay. So you know what you need to do? You need to make him own up. He needs to get a job, start working. He needs to marry you. And if you can't do those two things, then the next year and a half at most, because it is kind of hard to get a job, you need to let this guy go because he's not moving forward and he's going to hold you back and you're going to have resentment with him for years to come. I hope that helps. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me. My email address is askchauntel@gmail.com. That is askchauntel. Thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to subscribe. Hugs and kisses.